Good afternoon, dear colleagues and listeners. Welcome to our author's lecture on the concept of the National Strategy for the Development of Artificial Intelligence until 2030. Allow me to introduce myself, Doctor of Law, Professor
Said Gulamov.
I am the head of the Department of the Tashkent State Law University. And my colleague, co-author of the concept, Professor
Islamбек Рустамбеков.
Greetings, dear colleagues and young scientists. Allow me to introduce myself, Doctor of Law, Professor
Islamбек Рустамбеков.
Rector of the Tashkent State Law University.
First of all, I want to provide some information about Uzbekistan, which is often called the Pearl of the East or the Heart of Central Asia, which is known for its unique cultural heritage and history and has always been considered the cradle of Islamic civilization. The country is home to many ancient architectural marvels, including the iconic blue tiles of the Registan in Samarkand and the stunning minarets of Bukhara. Despite the difficulties of recent decades, Uzbekistan remains a vibrant and fascinating country rich in history and culture that continues to attract visitors and investors from all over the world. So, welcome to our lecture on the concept of the National Strategy for the Development of Artificial Intelligence until 2030. A strategic approach to regulating artificial intelligence has become a priority for many countries around the world. By establishing clear guidelines and policies for the responsible use of artificial intelligence, countries can ensure that the benefits of this technology are widely disseminated. Many states have legislated their AI development strategies until 2030, because they realize the unlimited potential of this technology to stimulate economic growth and improve the quality of life of their citizens. It is worth noting that the implementation of the strategies has enabled governments to effectively address important social and ethical issues related to technology, such as concerns about bias, privacy and employment. The analysis revealed that targeted strategies, taking into account national capabilities and interests, have allowed countries to attract investment, talent and business to their markets, as well as to remain competitive in the global economy. The vector approach has enabled policymakers to anticipate and prevent potential legal and ethical issues that may arise as AI advances further, and to protect the public from the potential negative impacts of the technology. So, understanding the significance of the discussed strategies, over the past few years we have analyzed more than 50 artificial intelligence development strategies from around the world and developed a unique, synergistic concept for the national strategy of Uzbekistan. This concept is based on an analysis of best practices drawn from these other strategies, as well as our own research and regulatory analysis. We believe that, if put into practice, it will be a key factor in economic and social progress in the coming decades, and we are pleased to share it with you today. So, without further ado, let's delve into the study of our concept. The methodology of our concept is focused on determining the fundamental principles and legal foundations for the vector development of the artificial intelligence system in Uzbekistan. Predictable, controlled by society and the state, the systemic structure is designed to initially fill in the gaps and eliminate the contradictions of the modern unsystematic development of new legal relations in this area. Comparing international strategies for the development of artificial intelligence, we identified two main approaches: an offensive approach characterized by significant investment in research and innovation, observed in countries such as the United States, China, Japan, South Korea and other, and defensive an approach aimed at preparing the national system for the introduction of expected new technologies, observed in countries such as the UK, the EU, and other. Based on the collected and analyzed data, we have developed a synergistic concept for an artificial intelligence development strategy for Uzbekistan. This concept focuses on the integration of various fields of science, technology, and innovation, as well as the formation of a comprehensive and holistic legal framework. Particular attention is paid to creating a favorable, and most importantly, stimulating environment for the development of the artificial intelligence industry and the implementation of innovative projects. We believe that in order to further develop the legal foundations of our concept, it is important to establish partnerships and cooperation with leading research organizations both at the national and international levels. This will allow us to share knowledge and resources, as well as gain access to advanced technologies and experience. In general, our author's approach to the development of artificial intelligence in Uzbekistan is aimed at creating a balanced and sustainable system that can effectively respond to the challenges and opportunities of the modern world. By focusing on integrating the various fields of science, technology, and innovation, and taking into account the ethical and social implications of this technology, we believe we can contribute to the development of our society and the well-being of our citizens. The key components of the implementation of the strategy would be clear goals and priorities. It is important to have a clear understanding of the state's goals and priorities in order to develop an effective strategy. This includes identifying specific goals and targets that the country is seeking to achieve and identifying the most effective ways to achieve them. Support for the regulatory framework. A sound regulatory framework is critical to the success of the strategy. This includes laws and regulations that support the goals and objectives of the state, as well as policies and procedures that help enforce those regulations. Investment in research and innovation. Research and innovation are key success factors in today's business world. Investing in research and development helps organizations keep up with the times and remain competitive in their industry. Talent development and education. Developing the skills and knowledge of the population is essential to the long-term success of a nation. Investments in education and training programs help to create an intelligent, strong, and capable workforce, which is necessary for the implementation of the strategy. Partnership with the private sector and international organizations. Collaboration and partnership with other organizations can provide access to new ideas and resources and help accelerate the implementation of the strategy. The methodology for implementing the national strategy includes several steps to ensure its successful implementation. First, it is important to create a coordinating body responsible for overseeing and managing the implementation of the strategy. This could be a government agency or a consortium of organizations working together. An implementation roadmap should then be developed outlining specific actions and milestones to be completed in order to achieve the goals of the strategy. This roadmap should include timelines, budget estimates, and performance indicators to measure progress. Successful implementation of the national strategy also requires the allocation of resources and the establishment of mechanisms for monitoring and evaluating its effectiveness. This includes determining the financial and human resources needed to carry out the plan, as well as setting up systems to track progress and measure results. Finally, it is important to involve relevant stakeholders in the implementation process. These may include government agencies, non-profit organizations, businesses, and community groups. By involving these stakeholders in the planning and implementation of a national strategy, consensus can be built and all parties committed to its success. Dear participant, the concept defines several interrelated long-term goals related to the development of the industry. Recognition of artificial intelligence as a subject of law with limited rights and obligations. It should be seen as a legal entity with certain rights and obligations, and not just as a tool or a machine. Establishment of the imperative priority of human rights and legitimate interests over artificial intelligence. That is, the rights and interests of people and the universe must always take precedence over its rights and interests, and that any decisions it makes must be subject to human supervision and control. Development of an effective mechanism of state policy in reaching a compromise and an investment regulatory approach in this area. It is about finding a balance between the needs and interests of various stakeholders such as government, businesses, and individuals. Establishment of uniform principles and requirements for the development of a sound and globally informed national strategy for the development of artificial intelligence in Uzbekistan until 2030. Ensuring its vector development and application for the benefit of society. This means using it in a way that helps improve the lives and well-being of individuals and communities without harming others. Ensuring human safety from technology. This includes taking steps to prevent accidents or unforeseen consequences, and to protect people from harm or abuse that may result from their use. Integration of artificial intelligence into society from ethical, legal, cultural, and institutional perspectives in the context of a wide range of stakeholders. The main objectives of the concept are: make the development of artificial intelligence one of the main priorities of the political agenda in Uzbekistan. This can be achieved through targeted incentives for investment in research and development of technology, providing support and funding for startups and companies working in this field, and creating a favorable regulatory environment for its growth and distribution in the country. Integration of new directions in modern education. This may include the introduction of courses and programs related to high technology and applications in various fields such as computer science, engineering, and business, as well as the provision of training and education opportunities for students and professionals interested in a career in artificial intelligence. Creation of a complex system of regulation of public relations. This may include setting standards and guidelines for the ethical use of artificial intelligence, as well as developing oversight and accountability mechanisms to ensure its responsible and transparent use. Ensuring safety and security. This may include implementing measures to protect against cyber attacks and other threats to the security of artificial intelligence systems, as well as developing strategies to reduce potential risks and its negative impact on society and the ecosystem. Establishment of international cooperation. This may include collaborating with other countries and organizations on research and development projects, sharing knowledge and experience, and participating in global initiatives and conferences related to artificial intelligence. Dear participant, the principles of the concept are as follows. Human-centered approach. This means that when developing a software product in Uzbekistan, priority should be given to the needs and well-being of people, and not just focus on technological progress. For example, AI applications should be designed to help and improve people's lives, not to replace them. Ethical principles. It is important that development and use in Uzbekistan comply with ethical principles such as respect for human rights, transparency, and accountability. This means that it should not be used to discriminate against or harm individuals, and that there should be clear processes in place to ensure that it is used ethically and responsibly. Inclusiveness and diversity. The development of artificial intelligence in Uzbekistan should be inclusive and diverse, taking into account the needs and points of view of different groups of people. This includes ensuring accessibility and usability for people with disabilities, as well as taking into account the cultural and linguistic diversity of the country. Driven and sustainable development. The development of artificial intelligence in Uzbekistan must be sustainable from both an economic and an environmental point of view. This means considering its long-term positive impact on the economy and the environment and ensuring that its benefits are shared by all. Partnership and collaboration. The development of artificial intelligence in Uzbekistan should be based on partnership and collaboration between various sectors and stakeholders, including government, academia, industry, and civil society. This will help ensure that its development is in line with the needs and goals of the country, and supported by a variety of expertise and perspectives. The key components of the development of the concept are: investments in artificial intelligence. For its development and promotion, it is necessary to invest in research and development, as well as in the necessary hardware and software infrastructure. This may include hiring experts in the field, purchasing hardware and software, and collaborating with other organizations or companies. Methods of human interaction and artificial intelligence. There are various ways people interact with it, including through natural language processing, gesture recognition, and touch interfaces. Security and protection. Securing AI systems is important to prevent malicious attacks or unintended consequences. This may include measures such as regular updates and patches, secure coding practices, and the use of encryption and authentication. Data and tools for training and testing artificial intelligence. The development of accessible datasets and tools for training and testing it is necessary for the advancement of the technology. This may include the collection and organization of large amounts of data, as well as the development of algorithms and tools to analyze and use the data. Testing and evaluating artificial intelligence technology is important to measure its effectiveness and potential impact. This may include conducting experiments and simulations, as well as analyzing the results and comparing them with other technologies. Best practice and ethics. Ensuring the ethical development and use of artificial intelligence is important to ensure that it benefits society and does not cause harm. The potential for integrating science and business in the field of artificial intelligence is enormous. Here are some examples. Artificial intelligence industrial applications such as machine learning algorithms can effectively process and interpret industrial process data for the benefit of companies and their customers. For example, a manufacturing company can use it to optimize manufacturing processes and reduce waste, resulting in cost savings and increased efficiency. Artificial intelligence and big data can lead to innovations that will significantly change the financial market, such as the more efficient and effective execution of important banking processes. For example, a financial institution can use it to analyze market trends and make better investment decisions, which will lead to higher profits. This opens up opportunities for new data-driven service providers and business models to enter the market and disrupt traditional business processes and market structures. For example, a startup might use it to analyze customer data and provide personalized product or service recommendations, leading to improved customer satisfaction and revenue streams. New products and services that use artificial intelligence and data analytics can improve customer experience and create new revenue streams. For example, a retailer can use it to forecast customer demand and adjust inventory accordingly, resulting in increased sales and customer satisfaction. In general, the concept separately considers the issue of integrating science and business in the field of artificial intelligence as a stimulating factor in increasing efficiency, as well as new opportunities for the growth of this area. The concept provides for the following prospects for introducing artificial intelligence technologies into the system of preschool, school and professional education. Introducing mandatory information and communications technology and digital literacy classes. This ensures that all students are proficient in technology and can use it effectively in their studies and future careers. For example, schools may offer courses in programming, data analysis, and online communication tools. An adaptation of the Digital Competence of Educators framework for teachers of all levels. The Digital Competence of Educators framework is a comprehensive guide to digital competencies in education. Adapting this framework for teachers will help them better understand and integrate technology into their teaching practice. These may include continuing education courses, curricula, and online resources. Support for initiatives that encourage young people to pursue careers in artificial intelligence and related fields. This may include partnerships with technology companies, internships, and mentoring programs. By giving young people the opportunity to explore and learn about these areas, it will help inspire and motivate them to pursue a career in this field. Supporting the implementation of AI educational technologies. This may include the use of virtual reality and augmented reality in the classroom, AI-based learning and assessment tools, and online learning platforms. By using educational technology, schools can provide students with a more personalized and interactive learning experience. The prospects for the higher education system are as follows. Talent development and retention in higher education. Higher education institutions should focus on attracting, developing and retaining large numbers of programmers. This can be achieved through various means such as offering specialized courses, providing opportunities for practical experience through internships and projects, and creating incentives for students to stay and work in the field after graduation. Cooperation with industry partners. Higher education institutions should also seek partnerships with industry partners to provide their students with practical skills and knowledge. This can be done through internships, joint programs and other collaborative projects that allow students to work with real data and technology. Support for research and innovation. Higher education institutions should also stimulate science in this area. This can be achieved through funding and resources for student and faculty research projects, as well as providing access to the latest technologies and equipment. Encouraging interdisciplinary research and collaboration. Higher education institutions should also encourage interdisciplinary research and collaboration between students and faculty. This can be achieved through interministerial projects and initiatives, as well as by facilitating the exchange of ideas and knowledge in various fields and disciplines. In general, the goal of this part of the concept is to ensure that the education system in Uzbekistan is well equipped to prepare students for the requirements of the modern digital economy, including the growing use of artificial intelligence in various industries. The concept establishes a number of conditions and principles for the development of legislation. It is necessary to take into account the transcendence of technology. Artificial intelligence is a transcendent product of man, because it has no boundaries of big data analysis and creativity, and most importantly, it is a self-developing software product. Humanity recognized its perfection, but at the same time could not determine the magnitude of the intelligence of the technology itself, its ability to self-develop, which, of course, is beyond the control of the human brain. A threat is an ambiguity, insufficiency, or inconsistency in a system, such as law or security, that can be used by artificial intelligence to circumvent or otherwise avoid goals implied or explicitly stated in the algorithm. Being a self-learning and self-developing program, it will eventually look for a way out for further self-development, and may be able to bypass the ban or security. Priority of human rights and legitimate interests. Establishment of the imperative priority of human rights and legitimate interests over artificial intelligence. A possible warning of the threat will be the constitutional consolidation of the principle prohibiting the adoption of decisions by artificial intelligence that cause any harm to people, whether material, physical or spiritual. The concept establishes a number of conditions and principles for the development of legislation. Security of artificial intelligence technologies. This can be achieved through the development of regulatory and technical measures to ensure its safe use. Examples of regulatory measures to ensure the security of artificial intelligence technologies may include requiring developers to conduct risk assessments and implement mitigation measures for any identified risks. Technical measures may also include the use of transparent and explainable algorithms to ensure that the decision-making processes in its systems are understood and evaluated. Responsibility of developers and users of artificial intelligence. This includes ensuring that its systems are designed and used in a manner that does not pose risks to individuals or society. For example, artificial intelligence systems should not be used to make decisions that could have negative consequences for individuals or groups, such as in the context of employment or criminal justice. With regard to the responsibility of their developers and users, this can be demonstrated through the implementation of ethical codes or guidelines for its use. This may also include the establishment of mechanisms to hold individuals and organizations accountable for any negative consequences arising from its application. In general, the regulatory framework should aim to balance the benefits and potential risks of artificial intelligence technologies and ensure their safe and ethical use.
Further, the concept lays down the following fundamental principles for the use of artificial intelligence in state, legislative, administrative and judicial systems and the realities surrounding them. The government is playing a leading role in using artificial intelligence to improve the efficiency, quality and safety of public services. For example, the state should use it to analyze large amounts of data to identify trends and patterns that will help optimize resource allocation and decision-making. Artificial intelligence must provide the population with more targeted, personalized and accessible information and services. For example, chatbots based on it can provide real-time assistance to citizens who are looking for information about government services, such as applying for a passport or paying taxes. The government should ensure that AI tools and services are developed and implemented that respect fundamental rights and promote social justice. This may include its use to identify and remove biases in decision-making processes, or its use to ensure equal access to public services for all citizens. The government should promote transparency and accountability in the use of artificial intelligence in government, legislative, judicial and administrative systems. This may include establishing clear policies and guidelines for its application, as well as regular reporting on its impact on these systems. Dear listener, the concept pays special attention to access to data and data security, that is, it develops requirements for those who work with artificial intelligence in terms of security, transparency, traceability, human control and accountability, which are not provided for by the current legislation. Priority of human rights and legitimate interests over artificial intelligence in software products. Examples of these requirements in practice may include a system that is used to make decisions on loan applications using only data that is directly relevant to a loan decision should not take into account personal data such as race or religion. The system that is used to detect and prevent fraudulent activities, when gaining access, should analyze only the data that is necessary for this purpose, and not collect and use personal data for any other purpose. A system that is used to personalize marketing communications must use data that has been given the explicit consent of the individual without sharing that data with third parties. The actions of artificial intelligence should not contradict or circumvent existing legislation. For example, the system used to make financial decisions must not engage in insider trading or other illegal activities. The ability of staff to control and manage artificial intelligence. For example, there should be clear procedures for disabling or redefining his system if its behavior is inconsistent with its intended purpose. Ensuring technical reliability and safety. For example, an artificial intelligence system used in healthcare facilities must have multiple layers of security to protect patient data and ensure the system works properly. Privacy and data management. For example, an artificial intelligence system used for customer service must have appropriate measures in place to protect customer data and ensure that it is not shared without their consent. Ensuring transparency, explainable AI. The decision-making processes and algorithms used in the systems must be fully understood and transparent to those affected by them. For example, a decision-making system should clearly define the criteria and factors it takes into account in the decision-making process. Application of the principles of diversity, non-discrimination, and fairness. An example of this in practice is the use of justice algorithms in systems that aim to reduce bias and ensure that all people are treated equally. The ultimate goal is social and environmental well-being. An example of this in practice is its solutions in sustainability efforts, such as using machine learning algorithms to optimize energy use in buildings, or predicting and preventing environmental disasters. Responsibility for artificial intelligence products and their impact on society. An example of this in practice is the establishment of ethical principles such as the Guidelines for the Ethics of Artificial Intelligence, developed by the European Commission. Data access and data security as fundamental considerations in the development and use of artificial intelligence. An example of this in practice is the implementation of data protection regulations such as the General Data Protection Regulation in the European Union, which aims to give people more control over their personal data and how it is used by companies and organizations. It is widely acknowledged that transparency can help mitigate the issues of fairness, discrimination, and trust that have received increased attention, but it also carries potential risks. Disclosure of information about artificial intelligence carries its own risks. Explanations can be hacked, disclosure of additional information may make it more vulnerable to attack, and disclosure of information may make companies more susceptible to legal action or regulatory action. To deal with this paradox, organizations need to think carefully about how they will manage risk, what risk information to generate, and how that information is shared and protected. The potential danger of transparency comes from exposing information about machine learning algorithms, which can make them more vulnerable to attacks. As security and privacy researchers increasingly focus on artificial intelligence, all of these studies, and many others, lead to the same conclusion: the more the modelers talk about the algorithm, the more harm an attacker can cause. This means that revealing the inner workings of a model may actually reduce its security or expose the company to greater liability. Organizations using artificial intelligence need to be aware that transparency comes at a cost. This, of course, does not mean that transparency is not worth achieving, just that it has disadvantages that need to be fully understood. These costs should be included in a broader risk model that defines how explainable models are used and how much information about them is available to others. It is important to interact with lawyers as early and as often as possible when creating and deploying artificial intelligence. Engaging legal departments can help create an open and legally privileged environment, allowing organizations to scrutinize their models for all possible vulnerabilities without creating additional obligations. Lawyers operate under legal privilege, which gives the information they collect a protected status, encouraging clients to be fully aware of their risks rather than cover up any possible violations. In the field of cybersecurity, legal departments need to evaluate risks and even incident response actions after a breach. Therefore, it is important for organizations to find a balance between transparency and the protection of their systems. It should be noted that the transparency and disclosure of information about artificial intelligence is a complex issue that requires careful consideration of the risks and benefits and finding a balance between transparency and protection. World experience shows that artificial intelligence technology can help security forces respond to threats both inside and outside the country, as well as in emergency situations. Other areas in which it can be used include predictive law enforcement, under certain conditions, and protection of individual rights, protecting children and young people from online violence, combating the dissemination of material depicting abuse, prosecution, forensic analysis of social profiling networks, and much more. From an objective point of view, like all other promising technologies, artificial intelligence and its applications create opportunities and risks for national security. The concept assigns to the state the right to use these opportunities and its deployment in all ways that comply with the law, for the benefit of the state and society. It is necessary to provide an appropriate level of control and transparency and develop appropriate protection measures and mechanisms, not only in areas related to intelligence, analysis, and evaluation of data, but also to counter potential attacks based on artificial intelligence against the state system, economy, or society. In the final part of the concept, recommendations are given in the field of international cooperation, in particular, on signing memorandums of understanding with various countries on artificial intelligence issues, such as the US, EU and China. This section touches upon the issues of ensuring national interests in the development and regulation of artificial intelligence and the creation of a system of international monitoring and cooperation in the field of digital transformations. Also, participation in the development of relevant international approaches and policies in this area is recommended. There are several existing global AI monitoring platforms, including the Artificial Intelligence Policy Observatory, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, European Commission Joint Research Center, Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, the United Nations International Telecommunication Union, the United Nations Institute for Disarmament Research and many others. These organizations play an important role in promoting international cooperation, as well as in the formation and regulation of artificial intelligence. It is recommended to intensify international cooperation with international organizations such as the European Union, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, the World Bank, the Council of Europe, etc. Academic and research institutions such as the Joseph Stiglitz Artificial Intelligence Laboratory, MIT's Internet Policy Research Initiative, OpenAI, Nesta, and the University of Lausanne International Observatory. The private sector, including companies such as Element AI, Microsoft Research, Google, IBM and Thales. Civil society organizations such as the Future of Life Institute and the AI Transparency Institute, which will provide Uzbekistan with its potential to expand its capabilities in all areas in the field of artificial intelligence research. Separately, we would like to dwell on the section AI Responsibility, the purpose of which is to study the current state of AI regulation and propose a set of principles for its improvement in the future. This section focuses on the risks associated with under- or over-regulation of AI and the establishment of subjective responsibility when using artificial intelligence in various fields. This part deals with three types of liability. First, tort liability based on negligence. Secondly, the tort based on the liability of the manufacturer for low-quality products. And thirdly, the tort based on subsidiary liability, when institutions are liable for the actions of their personnel. After analyzing the legal and other acts, as well as scientific works, we can conclude that there is no single approach to determining the responsibility of the subject in the event of harm to AI. Therefore, we propose to recognize AI as a subject of law with limited rights and obligations. In the same way as all subjects of civil/private law relations, AI must have its own insurance fund, replenished from royalties. In more detail, AI technology is not inherently ethical or unethical. It is a tool that needs human guidance and control. Whether it's human engineers, developers and programmers, employees, institutions or customers involved in an AI system, it is ultimately up to the people to decide how the AI technology will be encoded in the software, how to ensure control and security in its use. The central role that AI plays in various industries means that its accuracy and interpretability have a profound effect on them. The potential for using AI in various fields, such as medicine, education, science, and so on, is significant, but it still has many limitations that need to be overcome. As AI develops and improves, it becomes possible to give it more autonomy in decision-making power. AI has ceased to be just a software product, and its functional representation goes beyond IT, integrating human values with digital information, as the current level of analysis and research carried out by AI far exceeds previous devices. When talking about AI liability, it can be divided into three categories: predictable liability, insurance, future achievements, and liability for product quality. In terms of predictable responsibility, an AI can be compared with a student, and its level of responsibility for an error should not exceed the limits set for it. It also allows insurance companies to evaluate malpractice claims based on this. As for future achievements, as AI develops, it becomes possible to give it greater independence and decision-making authority, and the proposed system of analogies will determine the level of AI responsibility at the level of practicing professionals. Finally, product liability is critical. As AI becomes more prevalent across industries, it is important to establish a clear framework for defining and managing its responsibilities. Speaking about the responsibility of AI systems, it is also important to take into account the main risks associated with the use of this technology. Some of the main risks that have been identified in the use of AI include malpractice, discrimination, and transparency. One of the most effective ways to mitigate these risks is through an institutional regulatory framework. However, it is no secret that modern lawmaking is complicated by democratic procedures and does not keep pace with the development of technology, so the regulation of these relations is best done with the help of self-regulatory tools, such as institutional and social codes of ethics when using AI. Thus, regulators can mitigate the widespread ethical risks associated with the use of AI in various fields, since they mainly arise at the level of relationships, groups, institutions, and societies. In addition, ethical standards should, at a minimum, govern the relationship between the following parties: 1. Employees using AI, 2. Systems engineers responsible for developing complex software and models, and 3. The clients themselves. Also, service providers should provide customers with more information about such developments and provide an opportunity to contribute to decisions made using these models and algorithms. This will allow them to become co-producers of their services, which is consistent with the reform of various areas in developed countries. However, while AI is likely to increase the efficiency of various systems through predictive decision-making technology, there are many questions about how effective it will be. This raises the need for more research on how to implement the best possible service delivery scenarios in a way that meets current ethical standards and aims for safe use. Finally, we should note that the regulatory framework for AI decision models and algorithms will inevitably differ from the regulatory framework for standard decision makers. This is because AI models generate data-driven hypotheses based on the study of various aspects of the market, including the activities of service consumers. Predictive decision-making technologies create two types of risks when using AI in various systems: risks for decision makers, and risks to consumers. When regulating an AI system, it is important to firstly clarify who takes responsibility for providing any services when there are problems with AI systems, and secondly, it must be clear what happens when as a basis for decision-making computational models are used. To create a regulatory framework for AI, we must first determine who is responsible for causing problems with AI models or algorithms. Two scenarios are possible. The first involves individuals who make the final decision, and the second, decisions will be made by AI models or algorithms. In both cases, there is a possibility of error at different levels, for example, individual, group or organizational. Educational practice is one way to combat this problem. As models and algorithms for predicting AI decisions become widespread, education programs in any field should focus more on the skills needed to understand, monitor and participate in their use. However, AI models should not be viewed simply as tools that are used to empower people. Instead, they should be seen as responsible for certain decisions. This will require different training. As the role of AI models becomes more important in service delivery, there will be a growing need for regulatory mechanisms for AI-based predictive decision models and algorithms. However, as we see, the regulatory framework for AI systems should be designed differently than for decision makers. The main differences are: who takes responsibility when problems arise with AI models or algorithms, and who decides the long-term consequences of these problems. As a result, the role of AI models in various fields of activity should be clearly defined, including their direct and indirect impact on a particular individual and on society. A full-scale assessment of this role is critical to understanding the long-term implications of AI for workers, institutions and systems as a whole. After analyzing the normative, self-regulatory, directive and other acts, as well as scientific works, we can conclude that there is no single approach to determining the responsibility of the subject when causing harm to AI in various obligations. The solution to the problem can be the recognition by states of artificial intelligence as a subject of civil law relations, legal entity, with certain, limited, rights and obligations. The legislator should take into account the mandatory creation of an individual insurance compensation fund for AI in torts, the financing of which will be carried out at the expense of a certain percentage of the profit when it is used for commercial purposes, royalties. The government needs to create a single non-profit AI liability insurance compensation fund, which will be funded by a certain percentage of the income of commercial AI insurance funds. When managing insurance funds, AI should be given a limited right to invest in safe, socially significant, profitable projects. Also give AI a limited right to distribute surplus insurance funds, directing them to social and scientific projects. The above analysis of the responsibility of using artificial intelligence technologies in various fields gives an idea of how quickly its very essence and scope are changing, and, accordingly, there is a need for specialists with a more comprehensive focus. Thus, the combination and interweaving of social, legal, technological and medical problems form a complex set of barriers to the introduction of AI in various areas of Uzbekistan, and the technical challenge is to find solutions that take into account these ethical, legal and social problems. One of the biggest challenges in introducing AI in Uzbekistan is addressing the ethical, legal and social implications that come with it. These implications can range from malpractice to discrimination and transparency. In order to mitigate these risks, it is important to create a framework for regulating the use of AI in various fields. The possible solution to these problems is the development of the AI Ethics section in the Code of Ethics for Artificial Intelligence of the Republic of Uzbekistan, Code, which we proposed as a regulatory document. This would provide guidelines for the use of AI in various fields and help mitigate the risks associated with it. Another important aspect to consider is the knowledge we gain from artificial intelligence. As technology continues to advance, it will require new approaches to regulation. One way to address this is to convene an international panel of AI law, ethics, and policy experts who can develop a set of principles for public enforcement decision-making regarding AI applications in institutions. This would provide a framework for making decisions about the use of AI in various fields and ensure that it is done in a safe and ethical manner. In addition to the above, it is important to consider the training and education of AI experts. As the technology continues to advance, it will require new skills and knowledge to keep pace with the changes. This includes understanding the ethical, legal, and social implications of AI and how to mitigate the risks associated with it. Furthermore, it is important to consider the role of the government and private sector in regulating the use of AI. The government can play a key role in creating the regulatory framework for AI, while the private sector can play a key role in implementing it. Another important aspect to consider is the transparency and interpretability of AI systems. As AI systems become more autonomous and complex, it is important to ensure that they are transparent and interpretable to the users and decision-makers who interact with them. This will help to mitigate the risks associated with using AI and increase trust in the technology. Summing up our lecture, where we discussed the author's concept of the strategy for the development of artificial intelligence until 2030 for Uzbekistan, we can state that the concept is divided into several sections. Each component of described strategy covers a certain area of its development. In particular, we considered the goals, objectives, and stages of implementation of the concept, as well as the prospects for the development of artificial intelligence in such areas as research and development, the integration of science and business, education systems, the regulatory framework and public-private partnerships. Moreover, we discussed its implementation in the public sector, issues of data access, security, transparency, and disclosure, as well as issues of international cooperation. It is worth to note that the need for the rapid development and approval of the national strategy for the state lies in the fact that artificial intelligence can bring significant economic and social benefits, increase productivity, efficiency, and decision-making in various sectors, including healthcare, education, agriculture, and transport. In addition, the use of artificial intelligence can help the state solve pressing problems such as climate change and security threats. By investing in the development and implementation of artificial intelligence, the state can position itself as a leader in this field and attract foreign investment and partnerships. To conclude, the synergistic concept of the strategy for the development of artificial intelligence until 2030 will serve as a roadmap for any state to use the potential of artificial intelligence and ensure sustainable and inclusive growth. Thank you for your attention.